Neymar da Silva Santos Jr.'s story begins in the streets and futsal courts of Brazil, where he first learned to treat the ball as if it were an extension of his own body. Born in 1992 in Mogi das Cruzes, his childhood revolved around football in its purest form: small spaces, quick touches, flair, and endless imagination. By the time he joined Santos' youth academy, it was obvious he wasn't just another hopeful teenager. He had something different in the way he carried himself with the ball, the way he treated defenders as obstacles meant to be humiliated rather than passed. That raw talent soon exploded into the professional stage. In 2009, at only 17, he made his senior debut for Santos. The skinny forward with the mohawk haircut and fearless dribbling became Brazil's newest prodigy almost overnight. At Santos, Neymar grew from a talented teenager into a star capable of deciding matches. He had that rare combination of showmanship and efficiency. He could juggle past 3 defenders and still finish clinically. His breakthrough years brought Santos trophies and a new wave of global attention. The biggest highlight came in 2011 when he inspired Santos to win the Copa Libertadores, South America's most prestigious club competition. That title carried enormous symbolism because it was the same trophy Pele had once lifted for Santos decades earlier. Neymar, still in his teens, had already placed his name alongside the legends of the club. During this period, he also helped Santos secure Paulista titles and impressed so much that even Pele himself called him the future of Brazilian football. But with success also came rough tackles and constant fouling. He often carried Santos on his back, and that meant defenders took turns trying to stop him physically. Though still young, Neymar was already learning that injuries and knocks would be part of his story. By 2013, it was impossible to keep him in Brazil any longer. European giants had been circling for years, but Barcelona won the race. The transfer created headlines worldwide, not just because of the fee, which was massive for a player his age, but because of the weight of expectations. Moving to a team already led by Lionel Messi was both an opportunity and a challenge. Would Neymar thrive as Messi's partner, or would he forever live in his shadow? That question defined his early years in Spain. He adapted quickly, though, and his blend of dribbling, acceleration, and goals gave Barcelona a new edge. Alongside Messi and later Luis Suárez, he formed what became known as MSN, arguably one of the most devastating attacking trios in football history. The 2014-15 season was the peak of his Barcelona journey. Neymar was instrumental in the club's treble, winning La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the UEFA Champions League. He scored in the Champions League final against Juventus, sealing the 3-1 victory and proving he belonged at the highest level. His performances that season earned him a spot on the Ballon d'Or podium, and for a moment it felt like he was destined to succeed Messi as the best player in the world. But even in Barcelona, where trophies flowed regularly, Neymar had occasional interruptions from injuries, issues that kept him out of stretches of matches. Nothing catastrophic yet, but enough to remind him that his playing style came with a price. After 4 years in Spain, Neymar made a decision that shocked the football world. In 2017, he left Barcelona for Paris Saint-Germain in a transfer worth $222 million, a world record. The move was about more than money. Neymar wanted to step out from Messi's shadow and become the main man of his own team. PSG offered him that chance, and the French league braced itself for a superstar arrival. His debut seasons in Paris delivered plenty of domestic silverware. Neymar won multiple Ligue 1 titles, French Cups and Super Cups, and his numbers were exceptional whenever he was on the pitch. But the story of his PSG career cannot be told without addressing the shadow of injuries. At PSG, Neymar's brilliance was repeatedly interrupted by bad luck and fragile moments. In February 2018, he suffered a fractured metatarsal and sprained ankle, which forced him to miss the second leg of PSG's Champions League tie against Real Madrid. PSG crashed out, and questions about Neymar's reliability in big European nights began to grow. The following year, he injured his 5th metatarsal again, missing more crucial Champions League knockout matches. These repeated setbacks created a frustrating cycle: dazzling performances in Ligue 1 and the group stages, followed by absences when the season's biggest tests arrived. PSG's long chase for the Champions League trophy always seemed cursed by his unavailability. Still, there were flashes of what could have been. In 2020, during the pandemic-shortened season, Neymar played a huge role in guiding PSG to their first-ever Champions League final. His dribbles, assists, and goals were decisive against Atalanta and RB Leipzig. But in the final against Bayern Munich, PSG fell short, losing 1-0, and Neymar, in tears after the match, seemed to carry the burden of another missed chance. The following years saw more domestic trophies, but the cycle of injuries continued. Ankles, hamstrings, and metatarsals haunted him. Each time he returned, he showed glimpses of magic, outrageous nutmegs, curling goals, slick assists, but rarely was he able to stay fully fit for a whole campaign. By the time he left PSG in 2023, fans admired his talent but also carried frustration at how often it was missing when needed most. In 2023, Neymar took another surprising step by joining Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. The move fit into the wider trend of star players heading to the Saudi Pro League, but for Neymar it was also a fresh start after years of wear and tear in Europe. The contract was lucrative and the expectations were high. However, his body betrayed him almost immediately. In October 2023, while playing for Brazil in a World Cup qualifier against Uruguay, Neymar tore his anterior cruciate ligament lax, ACL and meniscus in his left knee. The injury was brutal, both physically and psychologically. ACL injuries can end careers, and this one kept him sidelined for almost a year. For Al Hilal, the investment turned sour quickly, as Neymar barely featured for the club before spending most of his time in recovery. It was one of the darkest stretches of his career. By early 2025, Neymar and Al Hilal mutually agreed to part ways. The chapter ended quietly with few matches and no major trophies to his name in Saudi Arabia. But then came a twist that few had seen coming. Neymar decided to return to his boyhood club, Santos. The announcement sent shockwaves through Brazil. For many, it was not just a football transfer, but a homecoming, a full-circle moment. He signed a 6-month contract and stepped back onto the pitch at Vila Belmiro in February 2025. Fans filled the stadium, tears flowed, and Neymar, now 33 years old and scarred by injuries, felt the weight of history. His return to Santos was emotional, but also marked by reality. In his first few matches, he showed flashes of the old Neymar, dancing past defenders, scoring a penalty to mark his first goal since October 2023, and providing clever assists, yet the injuries still lurked. In April 2025, during his 100th match for Santos, he was forced off after just 34 minutes with another knock. The image of him limping off the field was symbolic of his career brilliance constantly interrupted by pain. Santos, however, extended his contract through the end of the year, hoping he could regain rhythm and perhaps make one final push for Brazil's national team ahead of the 2026 World Cup. On the international stage, Neymar's story mirrors his club career, brilliant but tinged with frustration. He became Brazil's all-time top scorer, surpassing Pele, a monumental achievement that proves his consistency over more than a decade. He won the 2016 Olympic gold medal in Rio, scoring the decisive penalty in the final against Germany, a moment that made him a national hero. He also helped Brazil win the 2013 Confederations Cup, where he was named player of the tournament. But the World Cups have been bittersweet. In 2014, on home soil, he was Brazil's talisman until a fractured vertebra in the quarterfinals ended his tournament. Without him, Brazil collapsed 7-1 to Germany in the semi-final. In 2018, he returned but struggled to reach full sharpness after injuries, and Brazil exited in the quarterfinals. In 2022, he suffered an ankle injury in the group stage but returned to score a stunning goal against Croatia in the quarterfinals, only for Brazil to be eliminated on penalties. Time and again, injuries arrived at the worst possible moments, robbing him of the chance to carry Brazil to a World Cup triumph. Looking back, Neymar's career is a mix of dazzling highs and painful lows. At Santos, he was the prodigy who lifted the Libertadores. At Barcelona, he was part of one of the greatest attacking trios ever, winning the Champions League and leaving his mark in Europe. At PSG, he dominated domestically but became the face of unfulfilled Champions League dreams, with injuries as the cruel antagonist. His move to Saudi Arabia was cut short by an ACL tear, and his emotional return to Santos has so far been another story of both joy and fragility. Along the way, he has lifted dozens of trophies, broken goal-scoring records, and enchanted fans with his artistry. But just as often, he has sat in the stands or on the treatment table watching his biggest opportunities slip away. Today, Neymar remains one of football's great enigmas. His numbers, goals, assists, trophies are staggering, yet many feel he could have achieved even more had his body been kinder. He is simultaneously celebrated as one of the most talented players of his generation and lamented as a story of unfulfilled potential. What cannot be denied is the impact he has had on every stage he has stepped onto. Whether in the black and white shirt of Santos, the Blaugrana of Barcelona, the dark blue of PSG, or the yellow of Brazil, Neymar has made people rise from their seats. His career may be defined as much by the matches he missed as by the ones he played, but when he was fit, he was often unplayable, and for that reason alone, he will always be remembered among football's greatest. If you stayed till this extent, it means you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.